Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm just going to talk about how we bring the consumer voice to the innovation process. And I love that it came up this morning in Maro's presentation and in the panel conversation as well, that it really is important to understand our consumers and their needs and their wants so we know what problems to solve for them. And today what I'm specifically going to focus on is how we leverage the tenets of social media to get consumers to really engage and share with us and connect with us, and how we can build this into multiple phases in our innovation process to ensure that people are really at the core of the products we develop. So thinking about social media, the reason people are participating primarily is to share their emotions. And as an example, here's a sampling from my own Facebook feed recently. And you can see very much driven by emotion, especially around my son. And I share this just to demonstrate that people don't share facts, they share emotions. They're on social media to talk about the people in their lives, the places that they visited, and sometimes they're talking about brands and products as well, and there's so much we can learn from that because they're doing it in an unprompted way. So John mentioned that I work for Ipsos SMX, which stands for the Social Media Exchange, and a lot of what we do is we focus on online communities, but also social data to uncover insights. And if you're not familiar with market research online communities, they're really not all that different from other communities that you're familiar with, like social networks. It's about people with a common interest connecting and sharing with each other. And in our market research communities, we're bringing together consumers so that we can engage with them on a series of topics we want to learn about. So a critical component to a successful community is engagement. If the people in the community aren't engaged or don't participate, it will fail. And because of this, over the years, our team has developed a series of rules of engagement, we call them, and it's based on just the work we've done with our numerous clients over the years and millions of their customers or their community members. And one of the most important elements in that set of rules is empathy. So it's really asking ourselves, what is in it for the consumer? What's going to motivate them to participate and want to engage and share with us, and to do that in an intrinsic way, not because we're paying them for their opinions. So let's bring this back to innovation. We all talked this morning that true consumer understanding is really critical to the innovation process. But we really need to understand them intuitively in their language, what their needs are, so that we can develop products that deliver against those needs, both emotionally and functionally. But in today's environment, it's all about speed, and research budgets are shrinking. We continue to hear that. So how do we continue to do this, but faster and more efficiently, but without sacrificing depth and quality of the research? Innovation can be really costly and time-consuming as well. And in working with our clients, we tend to hear a lot of the same barriers come up in terms of why they don't engage with the consumer more often. As I mentioned, it's budget and time-consuming. The market itself is changing really rapidly, so sometimes the need to get things to market really quickly means we're skipping the step of really checking with the consumer. There's the pressure of many projects at the same time. Innovators are working on many things, and sometimes they just don't have time to do it. And some organizations have processes built around qualifying things to go to market, and there's already multiple rounds of research built into that. So adding another step in the process sometimes feels like overkill for them. So I mention all of these just to say that and underscore that, getting the insights really quickly is very important. Different organizations may follow different steps along their innovation process, but in a lot of the clients we work with, they tend to follow a process that looks something like this. So it starts with uncovering a consumer insight, and that leads to a product idea. And you'll develop a concept or a proposition around that idea, optimize the elements of that proposition, hopefully with some consumer input along the way, and then you'll finalize it for launch. Online communities can really efficiently infuse the consumer voice into multiple phases in this process. And today what I'm going to share with you are 3 examples of real innovation communities that we've developed with the specific purpose of uncovering insights, co-creating with consumers, and understanding them in their real life. So how did we do this? In this first example, our client was actually planning to enter a new category and in several global markets, and they were working on some prototypes, but they hadn't really talked to the consumers that would be using these products yet. So there was clearly an opportunity to bring the consumer voice into the process. And we recommended that they do a pop-up community, and we set this up for them in several different markets where they had planned to launch the product. And in the community, we really focused on understanding the consumers there, but also the market itself, because they didn't have budget to travel. So they even had questions around, well, how is the current category structured there? What products exist and how do people feel about those? So we learned about both the consumer and the market. And I talked earlier about empathy, asking consumers or understanding from consumers what's going to motivate them to participate. And in this case, what we did is we brought people together who all shared a common problem. They all had a common frustration. And we just gave them a forum to talk and share with each other about that. And if you use social media, people love to get together and complain on social media networks. But they also like to share tips and tricks and give advice to each other as well. And so all we did was give people a forum to do just that, to talk with each other. And we learned so much from observing their natural conversation. So over the course of the community, and it lasted for a couple of months, we started off kind of talking about their life, and they made videos of their home for us so we could see how was the product going to fit in their life, what problems did it need to solve. They gave product reviews so we could understand, again, what was happening in the market today, what were the frustrations with existing options out there. We talked to them about their unmet needs and some of their wish fors. And then we even had them do some path to purchase type work with us. So they took us to the shelf by taking their camera or their phone and doing videos and photos for us at the shelf so we could see how they navigated the shelf, but also how the market itself was structured there. So how was the shelf organized? At the end of this process, our client told us that the community really helped them to iterate, and that having this on-tap group of consumers allowed them to learn so much more than they would in typical processes where there were multiple rounds of research involved. In this next example, our client was planning to develop a really premium product in the category, and they actually set out to co-create the entire thing with consumers. So from the very, very early stages, they didn't know what the product was even going to be, just that it was going to cost a lot. So what we did for them is we brought together a group of 50 creative consumers, people that we thought were going to give us really great ideas, and they also meet the profile of being willing to spend more in the category. And so we told them as a part of this that they were going to help us create this product from the ground up, and that was really our value proposition to the members. And I mention this because a lot of times in research we get concerned about bias, or we don't want to really let people know what we're doing, what we're trying to learn from them. But by, in this case, being really transparent with the consumers, they became really invested in the outcome of what we were developing, and they became really, really passionate about the product idea as it evolved. And they helped us do all kinds of things, from just defining what the benefit would be, what problem did it need to solve, but then they went on to, as the proposition became more solid, identify the ingredients, the product name. They contributed to package designs and to communication messages. And again, our client in this case noted that the process for them just felt very iterative. And online communities are great because they're really, really flexible. We have the people on hand, and we can evolve the research plan as we move along. So if we learn something new and we want to totally change the learning plan, change it up, we absolutely can do that. And we don't need to commission new research every time. And importantly, they noted for this that it cut their time to develop the idea down by 50% of what it would normally take for them to do it. And in my final example, I wanted to just illustrate how communities can support rapid prototyping. So our client in this case was in the process of developing some new formulations for a product, and they wanted to get consumer feedback on those. And normally the way their process would work is they would kind of have people try product and fill out surveys, and they would see who rated, which product was rated higher on those surveys. And when we talked to them about building a community into the process, what really excited them is they didn't have to walk away completely from what they were used to, so we definitely could build the survey element into that. But what we also built into it were plenty of opportunities for our clients to listen and observe and engage with consumers as well, and they learned so much more by doing that. Oh, sorry. I'll go back one. So in this case, just to give you a little more detail on the project, what we did is we had the consumers try each of the prototypes. And after they tried each one, we gave them a forum to share their experience with other people who were also trying it. So just bringing those like-minded people together and letting them just talk and share, and we observed what they said. But we also wanted to build in the ways that people are very used to giving product feedback these days. So everyone uses Amazon reviews or YouTube reviews to inform before they buy a product. And we wanted to build that element in, and so we asked them to give a star rating just like they would on Amazon, and we asked them to give a detailed review. And then they also, at the end of trying all the products, they created a little video demonstration for us so we could see how they were actually using the product in their home and how it fit into their life. And again, that observation just yielded a lot of great rich learning that we wouldn't have gotten if we had just done typical surveys. So I want to end this by saying that it's not just us researchers touting the importance of engaging with your consumers. The consumers themselves say that they want to be involved in the process as well. And when we've done research on this, and there's some statistics here, an overwhelming number of the consumers said that not only do they want to be involved in the process, but it actually affects their perception of brands. And they could become more attached to brands when they are involved. And I hope that some of these examples just give you some ideas as you think about new ways to connect and engage with your consumers as you're developing your product ideas. Thank you.